Hey friends, my name is Steve Guttenberg and I am the Audiophiliac, and today I have a new lens on my camera and I think this looks better. I think this is the way it's going to go, but we'll see. But anyway, today it is all about the EMOTiVA Base X TA1 integrated amplifier. I like this look. It's very sleek, very low profile, minimalist front panel with just a volume control, input selector, power switch, and a 3.5mm headphone jack. But the other thing that's a big improvement over previous generations of EMOTiVA electronics is the LEDs will not blind you at night. They were so annoyingly bright. Always was a thing for me. But anyway, this one is very easy to look at night. The display is also very legible from across the room. But in terms of the particulars, well, it is a Class AB design. That's unusual because a lot of similarly priced, and I'll get to the price soon enough, electronics are Class D. This is AB, putting out 60 watts a channel into 8 ohms and 100 watts a channel into 4 ohms. That's special right there because a lot of electronics, they can't drive 4 ohm speakers happily, and this one can. So thank you for that. Now, I always think of EMOTiVA as a company that makes high value products with excellent build quality, I would say above most of the competition, and they also sound pretty good. I'll give you a peek of the inside of the chassis right now. You see those big heat sinks, that large toroidal transformer? It's good stuff, very nicely made. It is designed in the US and yes, made in China. Just to get that out of the way right up front. Oh, the price. The price is $549. Now, I don't want to forget to mention this, but there is a nearly identical preamplifier equivalent. It's called the PT1, and that one is $399. So it's the same thing. It's just the preamplifier without the power output section of the TA1. So if you already have a nice amp, you could just buy the preamp version. But on that, they're very, very similar. Now, as for connectivity, well, there's 3 analog inputs. There's a moving magnet, moving coil phono input. Actually sounds pretty nice. 2 more RCA sets of stereo inputs. And then there are 3 outputs. Standard preamplifier out, and then a high pass at 90 hertz preamplifier output, and then a mono subwoofer output. And there's some bass management involved in this design, and I'll tell you about that a little bit later. Now, as for the digital connectivity, well, there's Bluetooth, aptX HD Bluetooth. It actually sounds very nice. Coax, USB, and optical digital inputs. As for the speaker outputs, there's a big chunky binding post, can handle heavy cables very nicely. Oh, there is also an FM tuner. For you people still listening to FM, broadcast radio, we got you covered with the TA1. I referred earlier to the bass management aspects of the design. And what that means is if you have a set of small speakers that have limited bass capability and you're going to be using them with a subwoofer, the TA1 has just what you need. It has high pass outputs for the speakers, meaning 90 hertz and up, and then 90 hertz on down, low pass, goes to your subwoofer. That's very cool. Or, of course, you can just run the speakers full range and also use a subwoofer. So you have options, is what we're saying here. The warranty, there is a warranty, and it runs to 3 years. And the price, as I mentioned earlier, is $549. As for the speakers used over the course of this review, I still had the Q Acoustics Concept 30 stand mounts. That was a nice combination. But most of the time, I was using Bowers & Wilkins 607 S2 Anniversary stand mounts, and that was a magical combination. As for the sound, it's a very transparent sounding amplifier. It's very neutral, powerful for its size and price. You know, I do have one quibble, and that is with the remote control. It works, it's functional, but you can't, let's say, individually select which analog input you're using or digital input you're using. I don't know. Didn't do it for me. But as I said, it does work and it's fine. for a comparison amp, well, that was easy. I used my reference affordable, I was going to say budget amplifier, the Denon PMA600NE. It's about $500 right now. I've used it for years. It is definitely a reference. But I'm here to say it was no match for the TA1. The TA1 was just more transparent, and bass control over the 607s was much better over the TA1. It sounded more powerful. They're more or less the same power. It just smoked the Denon. And like I said, I've used this amplifier for years as a reference, and now it's definitely met its match. You know, I do have to mention that the Bluetooth sound was fine, you know, perfectly usable for background listening and even for just casual listening. There's nothing about it that bugged me. You know, it doesn't sound as good as a wired connection over coax, USB, or optical. But Bluetooth on its own, it's really nice, fine. As for the phono input, well, I gave it a test with the Technics SL1200GR turntable with a Grado Reference Platinum3 cartridge. That's a moving iron, but it's basically functions just like a moving magnet. And the sound was fine. I was playing this Elvis Costello record, Almost Blue. I didn't like this record when it came out. It's his country record. But over the years, I've really warmed up to it, and it was sounding phenomenal. It was really, really good. This is definitely a serious phono input. Use it with confidence. You don't need to buy an external phono preamp unless you're really, really into playing records. Then you should invest in something better. But for this price of an integrated, I think that phono input is actually very, very decent. As for the headphone output, while I was listening to Almost Blue, I was using the Sennheiser Mass Drop HD6XX headphones. They're high impedance headphones, by the way. And again, the headphone output was definitely usable. These are very revealing headphones. They're really wonderful headphones. I don't compliment them enough. Yeah, so the TA1 Sennheiser combo was definitely listenable, very enjoyable. Not way better than just listenable, very enjoyable. To flex the TA1's muscles a bit, I pulled out Sly and Robbie Meet the Mad Professor. This is reggae. Really, really well recorded reggae. And I gotta say, with the 607s, I wasn't thinking I needed a subwoofer. The combination was very, very powerful sounding. Definition, detail in the bottom end was really exceptional. So when I switched back to the Denon amplifier, the bass got warmer and thicker. Now, to some people, that may be an improvement. I've preferred the faster, more detailed sound coming out of the TA1 with this recording, which I highly recommend. If you're into reggae and you haven't heard this one, Sly and Robbie Meet the Mad Professor, definitely check this out. So after Sly and Robbie, I needed to chill. So I pulled out Diana Krall, a little jazz, piano, and vocal is what I wanted, and I played it. And you know what? First of all, she sounded like she was right on the mic. She was right there. Anyway, I first heard about this recording when Andrew Jones, when he was at ELAC, demoed it for me one day, actually here at home. And it was really, really nice. So I know not everybody's into Diana Krall or jazz vocalists, but it's such a beautiful recording, and she is a really good musician. So this recording is up there. So if you're just going to dip your toe into female jazz vocals, this is a good place to start. And the TA1, man, it's got that balance of neutral, but warm enough and human enough and engaging enough to connect. And that's what I'm looking for. So I think we have now reached the portion of the review that we call, so Steve, what do you really think? And I think that the EMOTiVA BassX TA1 integrated amplifier, well, hey, it wins on looks. I think it wins on build quality. And the sound is, if that's what you want, neutrality, clear, transparent, very alive sound, this is a great amp for you. It just is. I mean, other than remote, I got no complaints. It's going to be my new reference integrated amplifier. I think we'll see how that plays out. And now it is that very special time that I failed to announce earlier in the episode of the Audiophiliac viewer system of the day. This one comes from David. He and his wife Kristen live in a turn-of-the-century converted horse stable in historic Lancaster, PA. Their stereo system is a blend of vintage and new components. There's an Audiophile 2M Blue cartridge feeding a Denon DP300F turntable, which in turn runs into a Sun Valley SV EQ1616 all-tube phono pre, which in turn feeds a vintage Mac MC6200 amp. Then there's a Nagra 4S reel-to-reel, which gets used to play field and home recordings. For streaming, David runs an Apple Airport Express, which is out of view, and that in turn is connected to an Audio Engine D1 DAC. Now, the Mac amp has 3 switchable speaker outputs. In the main room there's a set of vintage JBL Century 100 speakers. But here's where it gets good. In the bathroom, if that wasn't enough, wait. In the master bathroom, David has a pair of Harbeth P3 ESR speakers, and this is where he does most of his serious listening while soaking in his 1898 Wolf Neptuna Roman bathtub. And there's a third listening zone in the courtyard. Thanks, David and Kristen. We just shot a video together, and then he says to me, Steve, I gotta listen to something on these headphones right now. I got an idea. And I said, sure, knock yourself out. Go do some work, right? So I decided to shoot it because a lot of people have asked me, what does it look like when you're working? When an audio reviewer is working, what does that even mean? Well, a lot of it means, other than hooking things up, it means listening. And that's exactly what Herb is doing now. He's listening to this music, and you know, I don't know what fun that would be to sit in my apartment and watch me do this, but this is sort of a quick snapshot of what it looks like when a reviewer is working. I think the best thing that can happen when I'm working on a review is I forget I'm actually working and doing a review, and I'm just digging the tunes. And I think that's what's happening right now with Herb. He's lost in the music. You know what? And I think that is really, it really is as good as it gets. So yeah, I'm just going to let Herb listen for that. I'm going to shut up for a few seconds, and you can just watch Herb in the process of creating a review. But anyway, so you guys know that Herb and I have these great conversations. We really have so much fun shooting these videos together. And if you want to know what it's like to actually talk to Herb one-on-one with a phone conversation, you know what? Now's your chance. Because for a fee, you can talk to Herb. And you know what? I pretty much guarantee you that you're going to have as much fun as I do. And here's how you're going to reach Herb. So we are back. My name is Steve Guttenberg, and this is the Audiophiliac Show. Now, I mentioned recently that I just started a podcast. It's available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and Google. You just look around. It's pretty much everywhere, and there are links to the podcast in the description. But yeah, some people are confused about that. They think I'm just taking these shows and making them into podcasts, and I'm not. One or two will be repurposed videos, but for the most part, it's original content. So please check it out. So if you like what I'm doing here on the channel, please hit that like button. That's very important to the YouTube algorithm. Well, it is for me at least. And please subscribe if you have yet to do so. And of course, I can't neglect this. The best way to support this channel is with my Patreon, which can be found at patreon.com/audiophiliac, and there is 1000% chance that that is in the description below this video. And by the way, Patreon now accepts payment in dollars, pounds, and euros. And now I can say my work here is at last complete. Thank you again for watching, and I really, really do hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Bye-bye.